So, when is a trope not a trope? I have noticed that a lot of the commentary around Andor is using a lot of media analysis buzzwords, but it's not really taking into account the context of the show. And I am going to get into some very specific spoilers for season 2. So, if you don't want to hear that, you should scroll now. In my previous video about the women of Andor, there are a lot of people in the comments that are citing Cinta's death as an example of the bury your gaze trope. Or as one person put it, if it's not that, at the very least, it's fridging. And the thing about a lot of online discourse about media is that it leans into relying on spotting patterns in media, spotting things like tropes, and using that as the basis of criticism. And I just think that in a lot of cases, but in especially this case, is missing the larger point and the larger theme of the series. Cinta and Vel truly don't get that much time together, and that genuinely is a bummer, especially for Star Wars fans that have been looking for queer representation for a long time. But I think that trying to tally up points, like representation points, and viewing media through the lens of, is this problematic, does this fit into this problematic trope or not, is just another version of the cinema sinsification of media literacy. The fact that Cinta and Vel don't get to be together isn't another example of a corporation giving you crumbs of queer baiting and then eliminating the possibility before they actually have to follow through, as is what the bury your gaze trope is actually about. It's actually a very important thematic element of this show that a lot of these people die randomly, and a lot of the times not even as a direct result of the oppressor, but because these people are put in situations that they never should have been put in to begin with. Cinta's death at the hands of a child who doesn't really understand what he's playing at because he was put in that situation by an enemy that he doesn't understand and isn't equipped to fight is exactly that situation. Cinta dying instead of Vel because she has been combat trained and put into far more dangerous situations because Vel is born into a position of privilege and she is not, makes sense for her character and reflects our real world scenarios. Even Nemec died in season 1 because these people were not equipped to be battling this institutionalized violence. And in their escape, they didn't handle things properly, and he was crushed by the container, the massive container. Brasso's death was also unintentional and just that of a stray bullet that just happened. This is exactly part of what this show is about. No one is getting a happy ending here. And I feel like it's disingenuous to try and pick apart a show for the problematic ways that it's treating its characters when we know going into this that almost everyone on this show is going to end up dead before it's over. And I think that this has genuinely been a real obstacle in the media analysis space on the internet, is that it's hard for people to appreciate tragedy anymore because we're so quick to point a finger and call it problematic. And I understand people being upset. At this death, it's a horrifying death that is supposed to make you upset. But it's not because it's problematic representation, in my opinion. It's because the point is to remind you that everything about this story is cruel in how deeply unfair and unjust it is.